Welcome to Rauta's Underground Trio. Once again, we have three different albums from three different parts of the world, and as always, first I'll get these through in alphabetical order, and then we'll go worst to best according to my own opinion. Once again, feel free to disagree. This is about your opinion, not mine. And of course, as always, links to the bands are included in the description box, so in case you want to find out more information or listen to the music, well, there's your source. Alright, this time we have, interestingly, two metalcore bands and one doom one. The first in alphabetical order comes from Finland, Balance Breach, with their third album, Save Our Souls. Then, a doom metal entity from France, Carcolh, Twilight of the Mortals. That's doom metal. And Raise Your Fist, Leader of the Pack, a metalcore from Belgium. And now, twist and turn, and Belgium it is. Now, this is first of the pile here for a couple of reasons. First of all, this is quite a demo-ish release, and it comes with a reason. The second thing is, well, this is always tough battle to figure out which album goes first, which one goes last. Sometimes albums in questions are really close to one another in terms of quality, and this is pretty much the name of the game here. This is a CDR copy, which unfortunately wouldn't play in my CD player. However, I was lucky to have the files, the digital files from the band for review purposes, so I get to listen to this. So as you can see, only a few tracks, including intro, meaning this is indeed a shorter release. Technically speaking, you could say this is the nowadays equivalent to a demo release. It's only 21 minutes and then some, and indeed a few songs and self-financed CDR. So everything here reminds me of those early 2000s demos back in the days, because indeed what it was when bands, had moved on from tapes, actual cassettes, doing CDRs self-financed. Well, that's the demo era. Nowadays it feels a lot of demo bands actually do the stuff, with, just putting it online digitally, Bandcamp, YouTube, or whatnot. But technically speaking, there are lots of bands who do their first initial releases just like this, which gives a very demo-ish impression. And mind you, there's nothing wrong with a demo release. It's basically, in my opinion, the first needed step before you move on to labels, doing albums, and all that stuff. So this is not a complaint, more like observation about this release. As you can see, this comes with a wolf on the cover. And to be honest, this could really lead you to another genre altogether. But this is metalcore. Technically speaking, this is a little bit different than the one that comes after this one, because this is more like hardcore, which is technically speaking, when you marry it with metal, something that results as metalcore. But this is more hardcore in metal way, so metallic hardcore in a way. And as such, I find it, technically speaking, more interesting than your typical metalcore band. But there are parts that kind of put me off, and that kind of shows the rough version of what this band is right now. Now, first of all, there's a lot of aggression with the more, say, grunting vocals, sometimes rather screamy ones. It really puts you in the box that, yeah, it sounds like hardcore stuff, hardcore punk even. But then you have those clean vocals, which is more like, why? First of all, they're not really that good. I hope the band doesn't get offended, but they're really the area which needs more practice, more skill and all. They are almost like a big letdown when you are approaching that era with the chorus parts. It's always like, man, they're not that good. Now, the second thing which really gives this a rather demo-ish thing is this, overall sound. The guitar sound is pretty nice and all, but there's a little bit of rough edges. And when you're comparing to a lot of metalcore bands in the world which are super highly produced, or like having super strong sound, this is sounding like your home recording. Now, I wouldn't bitch about it if this was your typical, say, death metal, black metal, even I guess thrash metal thing. But when you're getting more into the world of commercial things, which metalcore really tends to be, this sounds really like a rough mix. Let me put it this way. I have heard a lot of, homemade recordings, demos and whatnot. Even today, this morning, I was listening to a demo version of an upcoming album, which had drum machine, no vocals and all that stuff, and had similar, quality in terms of the overall sound. So my point here is, this is not really to challenge to competitors coming from the same genre. I would say this band would be stronger without clean vocals, focusing on the more metallic hardcore punk sound rather than trying forcefully include those clean vocals, because it's not really the forte of this band at the moment anyway. It's more like the weakest link. So if I am here to give you a little bit of advice for the band, for the audience, go to a little bit different direction. I kind of feel like this band has a lot of potential, but it's going, in my opinion anyway, wrong direction at this moment. So we'll see about it. That very demo-ish, kind of a mediocre result overall. Like there are a bunch of nice ideas with the riffs and all. Now, quite some different comes with Balance Breach, Save Our Souls with their third album. This is almost like having totally different sets of faults and success parts with this given album. First of all, this is very, very modern, American sounding metalcore. And one thing that really got me like, wow, is the production. It's really super fucking heavy. So if there's one take out of this album that really like, wow. I mean, the covers and everything, the visual side is like, can you get any more boring? I mean, typical AI covers might be ugly, but even they're not as boring. What the hell is this cover supposed to be? I don't know. Weird fucking flowers. Anyway, these guys seem like, hey, we don't even like metal. We want to seem like pop band, which is very common in metalcore bands. I don't know why there is so much like, hey, we're stepping away from your all metallic stuff when you really want to sound like metal. But let's be honest about it. This band sounds very fucking heavy. Every instrument, drums, guitars, bass, vocals, everything is like, yes, this is really, really professional. 2015 founded band in Finland. Now third album. It seems like these guys are kind of understanding what it is to be sounding like a proper metalcore band, going for commercial success and all that stuff. Like I said, production-wise, vocal-wise, beat growls, screams, clean ones, they do know what they're doing. Unfortunately, and this is a big but, the songs are not that interesting. To be honest, this sounds very, very much like the, run-of-the-mill, the basic stuff. Like probably AI-generated music could be reaching to the very levels. So if Raise Your Fist is, better in one area, it's at least, the songwriting is somewhat better. But it's the technical difficulties and some annoyances which put me a little bit off, which is why this is on the second spot, not the first one. So my point here is, if these guys are going to challenge, the big bands like Lorna Shore and all that stuff, they do have a tough battle ahead, because those bands are more technical, they're better in songwriting, they're even more brutal and heavier sounding. This is more like, yes, you got the production, but what about the songs? None of these really stick out. I mean, these are way too heavy for your average listener who is listening to radio rather than, finding albums. And they're going to say, I don't like those growly vocals. Why do they have to scream? Why there is this and that? And for the more, heavier people, they're like, hey, I anyway gonna listen to extreme metal. This is having too much, those small core things and, clean vocals and all that stuff. Now, one thing that really puts me off so often with a lot of metalcore bands is like, they go really heavy. They have the breakdowns. They have the gent parts, this as well. And it's all like, yeah, this is getting heavy. This is more like modern ways to do kind of a Panteras and the Slipknots and all that, from the previous decades. But when you have these so emotional, clean vocals, it's like, what the hell, man? I don't want ice cream in my spicy pizza, The contrast is just kind of a borderline annoying. It's like you're watching a violent movie and then there's kind of this super, romantic kissing scene when the people are staring into each eyes, and I don't want my Bridget Jones moments in my, horror movie stuff. So, whether you go super heavy and you challenge a lot of those extreme metal bands, death metal bands, or, crossover death metal things or whatever, or then you go for the super poppy approach, because the chorus parts are exactly that. So once again, it rubs me totally the wrong way. It's not like the metalcore itself is annoying because it's annoying, by the default setting. There's nothing default annoyance to it. But it's the contrasting that always puts me off. And then that's why there are these better metalcore bands which are not trying to be, the romantic poppy stuff. At the same time, they're going super heavy. But it's the contrast that really puts me on. And in my opinion, Balance Bridge is guilty of that. But like I said, super cool production. Maybe they will just find something unique, something that makes them stand out from the rest. And then finally, we have this doom metal entity, which I have reviewed previously with some previous album. This is Twilight of the Mortals, True Sleeping Church label. This comes with a nice digipack. I've always been a fan of digipacks, and especially the non-glossy ones. I don't know why, but maybe it's the lack of, the glimmering parts where it doesn't, just reflect everything. That kind of what makes me like, yay, it looks nice. So here it is. No booklet, obviously, because all the thanks lists and, lyrics are included in the packaging. And this is traditional doom. Some might say it's more on the epic side of thing, but I would say it's not really epic enough in that sense. I would say this is traditional doom, the kind of successors to bands like, the Black Sabbath school of stuff. So yes, it's heavy, it's slow tempo, it has these, clean vocals, it's touching heavy metal, but way slower. Now you probably know what I'm talking about. So how is this gonna stand out from the rest? Not so much, but at least it's kind of doing a nice job copying the ideas. But pretty much like Balance Bridge, this is almost like, so where are the catchy songs? Where are the memorable parts? No, this ain't no full of Iron Maidens or Iron Man studies. This is no, War Pigs. This isn't anything of the old, epic Candlemass kind of a thing. So it's more like we're too scared to go full epic, but we want to do traditional doom. I guess for doom metal fanatics who will give this more points, they will be happy about it with, the result. But from a little bit outsider to the whole genre, I feel like this is doom metal equivalent to a lot of those retro revival death metal acts who are like, we want to sound like old Obituary or D-Side or Morbid Angel or whatever, but we don't have the songs, So I feel like this is a very, very much work in progress. They understand the genre, they know how it's supposed to sound, whether we're talking about, guitars or riffs or vocals and all that stuff, tempos. But when it comes to, actually, the real good songs, that's what this album is missing. So fans of the given genre, probably, yes, good, all that. But for those who are only selecting the best pieces, the best ones from the genre, and are more like doom metal tourists or casual listeners, this might not be the trick. Anyway, this is just my take. Now, obviously, you figure out whether or not these albums are worth your time. Links are included in the description box. Description box. Go listen to them, and I hope you like them. See you soon with more review videos coming your way. Off you go. Bye bye.